Hey guys, what is up? It's Dusty here, and welcome back to another crypto live stream. I'm not even sure if there's any people here, but oh, we got one person. All right, so we're all good. Doesn't really matter though. I just want to give you guys a quick little update on what went down a couple of hours ago. And the reason I'm doing it live is so I can actually get it out as soon as possible. It's been 12 hours since the news came out, but once more guys, I sometimes sleep. All right, I try my best, but sometimes I sleep, and that is exactly the situation right now. Sometimes it happens, all right? Maybe we'll get, however, some new strange news throughout this live stream, and then I'll definitely also try to get that to you guys if throughout we get some new or even more crazy stuff. I'm going to tell you, let us see. All right, so one of the things which just came out a couple of hours ago, like 12 hours ago, is this right here. Defendants of Ripple and Chris Larsen filed for a motion to compel the SEC to answer interrogatories identifying the SEC's theory of how the Howie test applies to virtually all of the defendants' transactions in XRP over the last 8 years. Rather interesting little shot already like that. It's like, what exactly could that be referring to, right? Really interesting. I'm seeing you guys on the chat box. You're already stating where you guys are all from. That's amazing. Look at that. I'm already seeing Cambodia, Edinburgh, Scotland. Viv says hi. Oh no, wait. Huddle says VeChain and VeThor are pumping. Yeah, I also tweeted out earlier today. VeChain is doing amazing. It's already having a really great September, and it's just the first day. Like what? All right, but let's take a little bit of a look at this. So, in my opinion, it's rather interesting because Ripple's side is basically asking for critical information from the SECs about everything they noticed when looking into this Howie regarding to crypto. Now, one other further interesting thing, if you were to ask me, is John Deedon. Let's quickly check out his Twitter. Something he just posted was rather interesting to me and relates to this story. He basically told Gary Gensler to kind of take an example. Oh, I'm not exactly sure where it's supposed to be now. Let's quickly check out the responses here. Here, Gary Gensler, please listen to your European counterparts. The UK's FCA has classified crypto assets into 3 basic categories: security tokens, exchange tokens, and utility tokens. XRP is classified as a hybrid, falling between an exchange and utility token. Point being, guys, there really are quite a couple of different places around this world who can just make a new framework for crypto. It's not really that hard. All it takes is for you to kind of adapt it, basically. 64-bit crypto says, "Lil, you went live during one of my videos, so I had to cut it short." Oh, that's... I'm sorry for you, man. I'm sorry, my friend. All right. We write on behalf of Ripple and Chris Larsen. A key right here, or really interesting, is how they don't mention Brad Garlinghouse in all of this. And I'm going to say that that is also connected to the document which we saw a little bit earlier. Let's quickly check it out right here. Over on James Fillant, his Twitter, we saw, and we covered this already, that previously Ripple and Chris Larsen filed a letter requesting permission to file a combined letter motion regarding an unidentified discovery dispute on which they have reached an impasse with the SEC. Right? Brett Garland's not part of it. This is basically that specific filing that we were waiting for, right? Happened about 4 hours afterwards. I guess the judge just said privately, like, oh yeah, you can file it, or something along those lines. Not too sure about that, nor does it really matter. And Jeremy speculated it had to do with 2013 and whatnot. I mean, even now, it could still be. But one thing that Jungle Inc. asked, anyone know why Brad wouldn't be part? And Crypto Fever also says, maybe transaction in question was before Brad came on board, or the issue at hand, which is basically the thought process of the SEC regarding crypto a couple of years prior, might not involve Brad Garlinghouse too much. But let's quickly check it out. So, they write to because they want to start a conference, like we've seen 1,000 times by now. A conference basically works in the sense that Ripple puts up a motion, the SEC responds, and then Ripple... Somebody says no sound. Maybe turn your sound on, my friend. I mean, there's sound, all right? Otherwise, you guys couldn't have answered when I asked you where you all were from, so yeah. All right, on December 22nd, 2020, the SEC sued Ripple, or actually commenced this unprecedented enforcement action alleging that virtually all of the defendants' transactions in XRP over an 8-year period were investment contracts under SEC v. Howie from 1946. And again, there's the key, I think, to this already. because they're saying here, the entire 2013 to 2020 part, right? They just want everything. The SEC further alleged that defendants' multifarious transactions during this period were part of a single integrated distribution of securities subject to registration under Section 5 of the Securities Act of 1933. The SEC, however, has resisted any attempt to pin down its theory of the case. You see, guys, I think Ripple here is also trying to kind of figure out and find out, why are some people saying they don't hear nothing? That's just trolling, right, guys? No, some of you guys are saying we can hear. No, it couldn't be that some people don't hear it right now. See, I need to get more used to streaming. You hear me? Okay, Barry hears me. Chest hears me. Those guys are trolling me. All right, good. We'll let it go. Now, I'm going to say from that line itself that the SEC has resisted any attempt to pin down the theory of his case, that they're referring to the fact that the SEC hasn't really pointed down exactly everything that they're going after, I think. But it could also be the theory of the case, talking about Howie and how the case applies. The Howie case applies to this one, right? To the 8-year period, whatever. Defendants served interrogatories pursuant to Local Rule 33, seeking to identify the ways in which the SEC contends Howie applies to all these transactions. Hey, hell yeah man became a supporter. Thank you very much, my friend. Welcome. Seeking to identify the ways in which the SEC contends Howie applies to all transactions. The SEC has refused to provide this information, contending that defendants are seeking irrelevant information. And this, guys, is the irony of the freaking SEC. Isn't this the dumbest thing in the freaking world? Guys, I really don't want to call these guys out and be too rude with them, right? But guys, come on. So Ripple is now explaining, well, the SEC hasn't given us any good examples of how we're crossing the barrier of the Howie test, basically. Defendants served interrogatories pursuant. They want the information seeking to identify the ways in which the SEC contends, so in a way the SEC thinks now, that Howie actually applies to all of these crypto transactions. But when you're asking how it applies, the literal thing that you're suing them for, SEC is like, no, that's not relevant. We know that doesn't have to do anything with that. How does that work? I have no idea. I don't get that. Still, dumbest thing in this is so dumb. But as set forth below, each defendant's interrogatories is properly designed to elicit binding statements from the SEC necessary to narrow the scope of litigation, reduce the elements of surprise, and serve as admissions for trial. Consistent with Federal Rule of Civil Procedure 37A, defendants conferred with the SEC to address these deficiencies. The SEC adheres to its position that the contentions sought are irrelevant and refuses to provide substantive, non-evasive responses. Once more, dumb. Dumb, 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 dumb. All right. Defendants' interrogatories see critical info under Rule 33. I mean, obviously, we don't actually have to read this point because, as I think you guys all know by now, I mean, yeah, it's critical info, right? We can dispute this for as long as we want to, but yeah. So the SEC has previously informed this court that its case against defendants involves a straightforward application of a well-settled legal test. That's what the Supreme Court, has basically decided in Howie 75 years ago. 75 years ago. Really? Wait, so was it from again 1946? 1946. 75 years ago, guys. Isn't that also sometimes crazy to you? That these rules that we're using right now were made in 1946. Now, I don't know how far computers or anything along those lines was at that time, but I mean, who could have ever predicted? Yeah, for all of you that do not know, I'm not 75 years old. I wasn't alive at the time, but still, they couldn't have ever expected crypto like this to come at that point. So how can you say that the rules apply perfectly to a situation like this? Now, letter from Jay Tenrero over on the SEC side to the Honorable Analisa Torres, the magistrate. No, what's the judge name? Whatever, Analisa Torres. on March 9th, under Howie, an investment contract exists where a person invests his money in a common enterprise and is led to expect profits solely from the efforts of the promoter or a third party. Now, straight off the bat, I can actually kind of clamp this down. Some of you guys said, Dusty, please talk with a hater of XRP. Maybe I should, because on this specific argument alone, we can easily win. Because if you're telling me that Ripple is the only party who can increase the value of XRP, and if you're saying that Ripple is or giving you the expectation that XRP is going to increase in price, I would say, no, both wrong. Because right now, you and I, theoretically speaking, can go out there and basically put in all our efforts for XRP if we wanted to, right? We can actually start up a pretty big company to really, kind of get XRP rolling, basically, in some crazy utility. Definitely possible. Then again, from the other perspective, I mean, Ripple's never giving you that expectation. If they were, they knew they would be screwed, so they would never do that. Now, defendants interrogatory seek, as Rule 33 permits, binding representations from the SEC as to how it contends Howie applies to this case. So, the SEC has been kind of confusing, in my opinion. So, Ripple is now trying to be like, hey, you know what, SEC? Give us some more explanation as to how you think that Howie applies right here. Because, guys, don't forget this. Don't forget this. The SEC came into this case saying XRP, every single transaction of XRP is a security. However, throughout the middle of the journey, they were like, you know what? That's not what it's about. It's the way that you marketed XRP. The key question now pops up in our minds, which is, what exactly is Ripple being sued for? And can they back that up? Well, yeah, it's a pretty big question if you were to ask me. Let me quickly actually share the stream over in Discord, by the way. I actually forgot to do that. I'm not as often in Discord anymore, guys, but if you want a cool place to chat and chill out, you might want to check out Discord. It's a cool spot. So just quickly letting you guys know about that one. Here. Just pasting it down. I accidentally forgot to share the stream of yesterday as well, but I'm thinking now, because I'm here now, I will also put it in the Discord for some of the people that are, only in there, basically. All right. I put it in. There we go. Sent. There's a lot of people gone from the Discord all of a sudden. A lot of people left. Are you guys in the Discord, by the way, already? I put a little message in the Discord. Just put something down there in the Discord if you're also in there, basically, just for fun. All right, but that's beside for right now. All right. So, yeah, I think the Ripple side just wants to kind of clarify exactly what they're being sued for and get some more of the explanation on it all. Discord, Keith. Keith is asking where. Discord. We have a Discord chat. There's about 13,000 people in there. I'm noticing a lot of people have left or have been kicked of some sort. But you might want to check it out once more. A Discord link is down below. Okay. Hell yes says, I left. Nobody was talking. They all talked over each other. Yeah, sometimes that happens. But all right. As well as identification of the factual support, if any, for those contentions. So, like how can you back it up with facts? All right. So, contention interrogatories may serve a useful purpose in narrowing issues for trial, especially when served after adequate opportunity for relevant discovery. All right. So, this can apply to this case too. This is absolutely basic information essential to the defense. Rule 33 requires the SEC to answer each interrogatory separately and fully, and in a manner that is as specific as possible and not evasive. Rule 33 requires full and complete responses to interrogatories in order to minimize uncertainty concerning the scope of the SEC's claims. So, to be honest with you guys, I think Ripple's just saying, hey, SEC, expand exactly what you're requesting of us and expand exactly what you think we are doing wrong and how we are going over your rules right now. Evasive responses must be treated as a failure to disclose, answer, or respond. All right. Deficient responses to Ripple's interrogatory. So most likely, Ripple asked this before, however, they haven't been too good with that. Interrogatory number 2. For each contract you listed in response to interrogatory number 1, identify all terms of the contract that you contend created an expectation of profits by the purchaser of XRP, stating with particularly the fact basis and citing any documents or communications relied upon for that contention. So guys, what I'm feeling right here is that Ripple is again wanting from the SEC to just, I mean guys, it's not that hard. They want the SEC to provide exactly and explain exactly why they're doing some of this stuff wrong. Yeah, it's not that difficult. Hey, D. Pearson also became a supporter to the channel. Welcome, my friend. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We normally don't actually get supporters while I'm live streaming, so that's kind of interesting. Usually they happen off live stream. I don't know. The SEC refuses to provide the information sought by this interrogatory. Ooh, I might be pronouncing that wrong. I might be butchering that name. Interrogatory, it might be. Whatever, guys. You get the picture, right? Not a native English speaker. It has not identified any term of any contract with any defendant that purportedly led to any expectation of profits within the meaning of Howie. Ripple is criticizing the core right now, guys. It really is happening. I didn't expect this. It's a full-on... I thought this would happen in summary judgment, where they come to some conclusions like that. But no, Ripple wants right now to know from the SEC what exactly they're doing wrong, which is a really ballsy move, which really shows to me that Ripple is confident in their means, I guess, right? That's exactly what it shows me right here. I mean, this wouldn't be appropriate if you weren't completely confident that the SEC can't just mess you up with their statements, right? If Ripple now thought that they were basically messing up, they wouldn't file for all of this stuff, would they? But they're thinking that the SEC can't actually articulate properly what Ripple in what degree is doing wrong. Because here, for example, the first part is Ripple wants to see how exactly XRP was sold as an investment contract, or exactly what contract Ripple had with some of these investors. They want to see it exactly. Yet I don't think the SEC can respond properly to that. Like, what can it show? Now, it has not identified any term of any contract before. Instead, the SEC directs defendants to unspecified public statements made in various forums that it contends led XRP purchasers to expect that Ripple and its agents would undertake significant entrepreneurial and managerial efforts, with the expectation that such efforts could potentially lead to an increase in demand for XRP and therefore its price. So Ripple is saying, well, the SEC is keeping it really indirect, saying, well, Ripple, you did some stuff. We're not going to tell you what, but you did some stuff, so we're suing you. Explain, right? Explain. This is really odd. I thought Ripple would have this by now, but no. Okay, this response is insufficient. The interrogatory does not seek information. Maybe I actually butchered the title as well. I don't know. Interrogatory. I might have spelled it wrong in the title, guys, in the video as well, in the thumbnail. Whatever. The interrogatory does not seek information about public statements that XRP purchasers may or may not have seen before they bought or received XRP. It seeks identification of specific terms and specific contracts made with specific counterparties that purportedly led those XRP purchasers to expect profits based on Ripple's efforts. They want the facts. The SEC should not be permitted to play cat and mouse on this issue. Ripple asked that the SEC to identify each contract that you contend constituted or was part of an investment contract that Ripple offered or sold as part of the unregistered distribution of securities alleged in the complaint. The SEC responded that every offer, sale, and distribution of XRP by defendants over an 8-year period, which defendants estimate includes but is not limited to approximately 1,700 contracts, constituted a single unbroken distribution of an investment contract under Howie. Defendants do not believe that any of these contracts include any provision that addressed, much less led a purchaser of XRP to expect any future profits. If, as defendants contend, none of these contracts include a provision leading to an expectation of profits, the SEC is required to provide that information in its response. So right now, Ripple is arguing that in none of their contracts which they have, for example, about 1,700, there's actually an expectation of profit given to the person, signing the contract away. So right now, interrogator. Wait a minute. Let's go over it again. No, let me say what I have to say first, and then I'll go over the word. Ripple's once more saying, out of our 1,700 contracts, none of these actually are investment contracts. And if you think they are, show us exactly how. Show us exactly where, because you're going to have to kind of prove that and bring up that point. Interesting. Okay, and then let's go over this word, interrogatory. I can also just look it up on Google, how you pronounce that. Let's look it up. I'm done. Interrogatory. conveying a question, questioning. She abandoned her interrogatory. Interrogatory. You know what? Never mind. I'm gonna look it up on freaking. You know what? Google Translate it is. I'll let her pronounce it then for me. Okay, Google Trans. Yeah, you guys are saying different things on the chat box. Let's see okay, let's see Google speak. All right, and Google's always fact. Come on.
Interrogatory.
Okay, this is definitely different than what you guys said. Oh, you can.
Interrogatory.
There's a button here to learn how to pronounce it. I want to do that. Google pronounce. Okay, why is this such a strange word? Pronouns. I'm sorry for wasting some people's time. Holy smokes. I'm so sorry, guys. Okay, here we go.
Interrogatory.
Interrogatory. Interrogatory. There we go. Good. Now I can move on with my day. I'm happy now. The SEC attempts to excuse its refusal to comply with Rule 33 by arguing that the terms of Ripple's contracts are not relevant to any claim or defense. See letter B, from B. Henauer to R. Figel. That is flatly inconsistent with Howie, though. Wait a minute. So the SEC says, or tries to say, that they're refusing to comply with this interrogatory by arguing the terms of Ripple's contracts are not relevant. So they're saying, Ripple, whatever you've done wrong and all the terms which you got in your contracts, we don't really think that's relevant at all to our claim or to your defense. What? Once more, I find it so peculiar how this is just now becoming information. Like, shouldn't they have done this from the get-go, Ripple? Like, explain exactly, at least they would want from the SEC, explain exactly what, how, what? This is so odd to me. Application of the Howie test to this case involves a determination of whether a purchaser of XRP was led to expect profits solely from the efforts of Ripple. Whether these specific contracts executed by the parties in connection with every offer, sale, and distribution of XRP by Ripple, Larson, and Garlinghouse, hey, he's mentioned though, at Exhibit A at 6, included or did not include a specific provision that led an expectation of profits is plainly relevant to this case. Obviously it is, right? If they gave out a contract where it states something like that inside, of course it's relevant, obviously. As interrogatory may relate to any matter that may be inquired under Rule 26. If the answer is none, so none of that is relevant or done, as defendants contend, a complete response to the
interrogatory
will significantly narrow the disputed issues at summary judgment and trial. Of course, yeah. I mean, Ripple has a really big win if the SEC can't point out anything. And if the SEC believes that there are such provisions, identification of those specific provisions is essential for defendants to prepare their defense. The SEC should thus be required to supplement its response to identify the specific provisions in Ripple's contracts that it contends explicitly or implicitly led to an expectation of profits or state that no such term exists. This is so obvious to me, guys. How can this even be a dispute? I don't think the judge can actually side with the SEC on this one, right? This is extremely relevant to any degree. All right, and then
interrogatory
number 6, state whether you contend that Bitcoin and or Ether are securities within the meaning of Section 2 of the 1933 Securities Act and identify with particularly the evidence, including any documents, on which you rely for that contention. Okay, so let's read it again. State whether you contend that Bitcoin or Ether are securities. Okay, so this part number 6 here, I think... I guess that is referring to the SEC having to explain exactly why or why not Bitcoin and Ether fall outside or inside of the Howie test, right? Now, this is actually a really long-lasting story, though, so this one is a little bit less obvious as to whether or not they can win on this regard. Obviously, from my perspective, I would say Ripple should get this info too, because as a company, let's say I were to have a company right now with this crypto, just kind of imagine, and I'm doing something wrong. Right? I want to know exactly why I'm doing something wrong. And if there's two companies which do really similarly to what I do, yet they're doing it right, then what is the difference between us and how did you rule on those? Obviously, from Ripple's perspective, it's important that you want to know exactly how you rule on those. Now, the SEC is making an argument specifically even in the hearing from yesterday that, well, Ripple is trying to say that XRP is so different from others and so blah, blah, blah. Dumbass stuff as well. Because what Ripple is saying is that XRP is different to any other securities case they've had before because it's not an ICO. That's majority of what it said right there. It's not an ICO, and it didn't have like an investment contract in that same regard. Basically, there was no crowdfunding at the start. Now the SEC is trying to make it look as if Ripple is arguing that XRP is so different than Bitcoin and Ether, when that's really not too much of what they're doing. So from that perspective, I would say, yeah, Ripple also deserves this, but all right. The SEC refuses to respond to this interrogatory on the grounds that the legal status of Bitcoin and Ether are not relevant to this case. In Exhibit A at 17. The court has already rejected that argument, holding that discovery related to Bitcoin and Ether is relevant to the court's eventual analysis with respect to the Howie factors. Because obviously, guys, even though the SEC has said that every Howie case needs to be, checked on a case-by-case basis, and I will obviously agree with that, to me, it is also just unfair, really unfair to say, you know what, we've done this Howie thing 2 times with crypto companies before that look like yours or cryptos before, yet we will not show them to you. We will only show you some of the public ones like, Kick and whatnot, but the ones that really matter the most, no, we're not going to show it to you. Why? Because we don't want to. It's not relevant, we find. How can that not be relevant? I want to almost kick myself in the freaking teeth reading this just because I can almost not pronounce it anymore. This is so dumb. And even though, once more, I'm not exactly sure what's going to come out of this one, it is so stupid. I don't know why I have to make a video about this. I don't know why they have to put emotion on this. I don't know how it can't be just too obvious for the SEC that this stuff is relevant. You can't make an argument against this. It's just almost impossible. How can you say that the status of Bitcoin and Ether, in the sense that you appraised them or thought about them, is not relevant? How can you say that the way that they viewed XRP or / Ripple's actions falling within the Howie bracket is or isn't relevant? How can you say it's not relevant? I guess that's when you have no more hope. You're just going to go in panic mode and say, irrelevant. Accordingly, the court should order the SEC to answer the interrogatory accurately and completely in a manner that defendants can rely on in trial. Yeah, I get that too. Okay, so let's see the footnotes, because very often nowadays, some cool stuff is hidden within these footnotes. And by the way, guys, we have had 6,000 people watch this stream in total. Let's quickly, for all you guys watching right now, plug yourself for a little second, all right? You guys are watching. We have 227 likes. We have more than 6,000 people who watched in total. Make sure you quickly press that like button. Let's get to we can get to 500 likes if everybody presses it right now. You can actually see your name here on the side here too. Just say, yes, if you're seeing yourself. Could be pretty funny. Just type in, yeah, or something like that. And let's get to a couple. Just press the like button, guys. Let's see that go up a little bit. Because, look, the numbers don't match up, right? 6,000 people watching, 800 right now, yet only 280 likes. There we go, guys. There we go. All right, we got about 300. All right, that's good enough for me, I guess. We can get going again. Damn. Here goes our document. All right. Although the parties disagree about the application of the legal standard set forth in Howie, the court need not resolve that disagreement to resolve this motion, obviously, right? So even though Ripple and the SEC don't agree as to how they applied Howie and how it actually works, it still needs to be explained, basically, from both sides, but mostly from the SEC side, because they're the guys who are, claiming something. Defendants are entitled to know whether the SEC will contend that Ripple's written agreements led to an expectation of profits, as contemplated by Howie. Ripple has a right to know, and I agree with that too. Did any of the contracts that they write abide by the rules that the SEC set in place? And did that, those contracts basically, kind of make this lawsuit happen, sort of? The SEC further argues that to the extent defendants seek the SEC to identify terms of common law contracts, any of those contracts entered by Ripple are already in Ripple's possession. Exhibit B at number 3. But this does not relieve the SEC of its obligation to identify its own contentions concerning what it believes are the relevant terms. So they're saying, well, whatever, let's quickly see it again. So all of it that is in common law, Ripple has those contracts, Ripple has everything regarding it. Yet Ripple still says, well, SEC, you still have to explain to us exactly why, in your own opinion, it's wrong, I guess. No, what is relevant to it all? I guess regarding the contracts, it's not that difficult still, but the way to explain it is a little bit strange. The SEC purported that, this is number 3, to supplement its response by referring to its responses to defendants' RFA. Exhibit B, number 3, in which the Commission admitted that it has not made any public statements or taken any action as the legal status of any person's offers or sales of Bitcoin and Ether, but that unsworn supplement does not where did that go? What just happened right there? But that unsworn supplement does not. Oh, here we go. Oh, okay. It's always in the footnotes. Yeah, I forgot about that. I thought these things were just printed in basically. So I thought it would just start here again, but I guess it's just proper. Satisfy the requirements of Rule 33B and 5, and even if it were part of the SEC's response, it does not provide the complete, specific, or non-evasive response to the Rule 33. Once more, guys, they just say we deserve it. All right, we can actually just read the interrogatory's numbers, and the explanation below there is just, I think, a little bit too obvious maybe to even go over in real depths. So, number 11 is state whether you contend that efforts by Ripple were necessary to affect any increase in the price of XRP. If that is your contention, identify with particularly the factual basis, including any documents relied on for that contention. So once more, state whether you, as SEC, contend that efforts by Ripple were necessary to affect any increase in the price of XRP. I think Ripple is trying this one because, well, to be honest with you, Ripple argued, and rightfully so, that Bitcoin is the biggest factor in XRP's price. So if the SEC really says that Ripple's efforts were necessary to increase the price, they're going to have to prove that. So once more, I don't think we need to go too far into all of this. Now, interrogatory number 17, identify the enterprises or ventures, if any, in which you contend that XP holders acquired a stake in by virtue of their purchase of XRP from defendants, and all evidence on which you intend to rely to support that contention. So this one is a little bit more interesting. The identification of common enterprise from which a purchaser of XRP expects to receive future profits, and to which defendants, Ripple, will apply their entrepreneurial and managerial efforts is critical to the proper application of Howie. I agree. The SEC has previously conceded that, the SEC previously gave up that a purchaser of XRP has no right to receive profits from Ripple themselves. Number 5, this is the SEC response to the RFA. The Commission admits that purchasing XRP on the open market typically does not convey any right based solely on the status as an XRP holder to receive payment directly from Ripple in any form. Okay, so they gave that up already. That leaves unanswered, however, the identification of the common enterprise from which a purchaser of XRP might expect future profits, or to which defendants purportedly agreed to apply their entrepreneurial and managerial efforts. Nowhere in the complaint does the SEC identify the common enterprise at issue in this case, because obviously the one you would think of straight about is Ripple, right? But they already conceded that Ripple itself is not it, because they know that any purchaser of XRP does not, and nobody expects that to receive profits from Ripple themselves. So that kind of crumbled them when they said that, to be honest with you. And now it's like Ripple wants to know exactly what is the common enterprise that is needed for a security that people are investing into. This is actually a really good document. Nowhere in the complaint do they specify this. The complaint vaguely references an undefined XRP ecosystem, and the SEC's response to interrogatory number 17 is similarly evasive and inadequate. So once more, guys, there's just most likely a very long list of interrogatories, but they're just now explaining that some of these interrogatory answers that the SEC gave are just really weak. XRP holders hope to profit from a potential increase in the value of XRP based on Ripple's efforts to create a use for XRP and develop the XRP ecosystem, potentially increasing demand for the token. So, to Ripple's second set of interrogs attached as Exhibit C at 15, this response fails to identify any legal cognizable common enterprise and fails to give defendants adequate notice of what the common enterprise, if any, XRP holders contracted to receive any interest in or right to future profits from, which is actually a really good point. Really good point. Someone in this chat, Darren, now it's possible. What? Western Union backpedaled out of the deal. I'm starting to think that Ripple and the SEC are in bed together. They're just halting time, trying to decide what the next move is. I mean, Carl, that's a small chance, theoretically speaking, it's possible, but I mean, these lawsuits, specific things take a lot of time, though, right? I mean, it's not really crazy, I guess. It's not really that strange. It just takes time. All right, the SEC asserts that information Ripple seeks is not relevant once more, but the common enterprise is an essential element for Howie. How can this be? The SEC, this is also the previous point, the SEC refused to answer whether Ripple's efforts were necessary to increase the price of XRP. Instead, the SEC provides the evasive response that Ripple has engaged in efforts that led XRP purchasers to reasonably expect profit based on Ripple's efforts, citing non-exhaustive examples reflecting Ripple's beliefs that its efforts were necessary to achieve XRP price increases and related efforts. I would also really like to argue this one. I don't think Ripple in any way, shape, or form was actually necessary to increase the price or hold the price up. You can say it was nice, but it wasn't necessary at any point. Yeah, definitely not. So once more, the court should compel the SEC to identify the common enterprise present in this case, or to state clearly that XP holders did not acquire a stake in any common enterprise. Ripple's trying to close it down, guys. I'm not even lying to you. I'm honestly thinking, I don't want to call and shout out settlement again, right? Because we don't want to kind of keep talking about that too much. But isn't it really odd that the real basics of the case, which revolve around Howie being applied, are not clear to Ripple's side nor the SEC side, and they're even claiming right now that some of these parts are not relevant? How in the world can that be so, though? Now, number 19, identify with particularly any evidence that you, SEC, contend demonstrates that any XRP holder has or had any right, as a result of his or her purchase of XRP in the unregistered distribution of securities alleged in the complaint, to receive any future payments directly from Ripple in any form, at any time, or any purpose, or for any purpose. So this basically means, SEC, show us where you got this information from that any person buying XRP or holding XRP was due for any payment directly from Ripple. Because obviously, it's going to be really hard to find that anywhere, that Ripple explains that. It's just an assumption made by the SEC. But once more, I don't think the SEC can actually show this. The SEC believe that future profits need not come directly from Ripple does not excuse its refusal to comply with its obligations under the federal rules. And it's really funny because the SEC kept saying, oh, Howie is Howie, it's just the rules, right? But now that really Howie is being used against them on the same grounds, SEC's like, yeah, but I mean. So that was point number 1, though. That was A, right? Which basically is relevant, right? They need to get it because the SEC didn't give proper response to some of the questions that they had. Those were questions I'll ask before. But there's also, that's Ripple's side. There's also a question that Larson asked specifically that they didn't have a good answer for, and that is right here. Interrogatory number 5. State whether you, SEC, contend that the XRP Ledger was not fully functional before the start of the ongoing securities offering alleged in the complaint. If that is your contention, identify when you contend that the XRP Ledger did become fully functional, if ever, and what actions or efforts resulted in making the XRP Ledger fully functional, and all evidence you intend to rely on to support the contention. This is actually the biggest point of this entire lawsuit. Or not lawsuit, I'm going to say the entire document right here. Chris Larson asked right now a key and critical question to the SEC. And guys, I am already telling you, if we get a response by the SEC, this could be the make or break it in this entire case, to be honest with you. It could be. Because Chris Larson is asking here, when does the SEC think that the XRP Ledger was functional enough? And that is also going to be the question that kind of gets the ball rolling about being decentralized enough and about where, for example, Ethereum had a pre-sale. They had a sale before they were operational. They were doing the sale to fund their operations. Ripple basically was made after the XRP Ledger was even created. And so the coins were distributed already before Ripple existed. And so I don't think that the SEC can actually come back on this point because Ripple never had a sale like that. But if Ripple can kind of now prove that the SEC doesn't even have a point on that regard, they can actually explain once more that XRP from a certain perspective is even a lot better in that sense of a non-security than Ethereum, and then we can get the ball rolling. Because this is about the past, right? This is phase number 1. Phase number 2 is when does the SEC think that XRP became sufficiently decentralized? The SEC is saying never. Then again, if that's really the case, that it never got decentralized, not even from December 22nd forward, then how come this lawsuit is not from the beginning to even now? Because Ripple is still selling XRP every single day, I guess every so often. Wouldn't it then mean that even now, to this date, XRP are still a security? Or what did change? At least to my own personal opinion, it's really interesting to see where exactly the XRP Ledger became fully functional in their opinion. The SEC's response fails to answer the interrogatory and instead states only that Ripple engaged a team of people working on improving the XRP Ledger throughout the period at issue in this case, and that certain unspecified documents once more, they're not saying which one. Certain documents is what they're saying. Show examples of Ripple continuing to make efforts to develop, improve, and modify the functioning of the XRP Ledger. Is that auto? That's normal. And the SEC's response and objections is where that's stated in. To Larson's first set of interrogatories at 11, the SEC defends its evasive answer by arguing that whether and when the XRP Ledger became fully functional is irrelevant under Howie. That argument lacks any good faith basis because the SEC, in materials it had previously relied on to argue that defendants had a fair notice of what the law requires, has suggested that whether a digital asset is not fully functional at the time of the offer or sale is especially relevant in an analysis of whether the third prong of the Howie test is satisfied. The court should compel the SEC to provide a non-invasive response. Hey, Kig, coming back into the chat box with the $5. OG. What's up, my friend Kig? Haven't seen you in a little while, my friend. It's been a good while. It really has been a good while, my friend. How you guys are holding up in the chat box? Why aren't using Nexo? I personally don't use Nexo because I don't really like the response they gave me when I asked to support. However, some of you guys have said that throughout the last couple of months, it's been like a year or so, they've really developed properly. So that could be, I'm just, I guess, a little bit old school. You know, what's the thing again? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me 2 times, and then, you know, kind of the thing goes on. Like, I get fooled once, okay, fine, but I don't get fooled a second time. And what I mean with that is I don't give them a second chance, basically, for that type of stuff. So when they mess me up a little bit, which I don't want to get too much into because, you know, I don't want to make their company look bad all of a sudden too much. It's just not really me. All right. So the SEC's response to Ripple's interrogatory, whatever. This is the SEC's inappropriate references to other interrogatory answers. We don't really need to go too far into that one, so you don't really need to read it if you were to really ask me. Then again, let's actually do it though because it's only half a page. The SEC's responses to Ripple's interrogatory numbers right there and Larson's interrogatory number 4 merely incorporate by reference the SEC's responses. To other interrogatories, however, an answer to an interrogatory must be completed within itself, and it should be in a form that may be used at trial. So answers to interrogatories that merely reference other answers to the interrogatories are improper and unresponsive. After years of investigation and with discovery coming to an end, the SEC is required to provide the best answer they can based upon current information in their possession. It cannot evade this obligation by providing vague and ambiguous responses that merely incorporate vague and ambiguous responses to other interrogatories. Seeking different information, for example, in response to Larson's interrogatory, number 4, which seeks all efforts by Ripple that you contend were made in order to generate profits for any person who purchased XRP from Ripple. The SEC responds only that it incorporates by reference its responses and objections to Ripple's interrogatories number 2 and 8 and 10 and 11, exhibit number D at 10. But as noted above, Ripple's interrogatory number 2 seek the terms in Ripple's contracts that allegedly led to an expectation of profits, not the alleged efforts taken by Ripple to generate profits. So right now Ripple's saying, well, they're trying to bundle things together by saying, well, we already kind of answered you there, and oh, but we already, all these small little talks of just evasiveness and whatnot. Yeah, Ripple's saying they're basically bundling things together, which shouldn't be bundled. They need to give us some clear answers to everything, which is logical. And the other interrogatories likewise seek different info, whether Ripple promised to create a secondary trading market for XRP, and whether Ripple pooled the funds of XRP purchases, and whether Ripple's efforts were necessary to increase the price of XRP. All that is logical. Good questions if you were to ask me. And I think Ripple's not involved because Brett Gauntlet's not involved because the majority of this actually covers the inception of XRP, but that's not what it is about here. What it is about here is that Ripple just asked these questions about their company, and Chris Larson had a specific interrogatory number that he had a question about. So Brett Garlinghouse's questions were most likely just answered properly. So I guess that's also the conclusion to draw about that one. By the way, guys, can we get to 500 likes right now? We are at about 400 and something. I can't see how many. Oh, 422. If I have it on my different screen, I can only see a 4 and then ... We are at 422 likes. Guys, if you're watching this video right now, please make sure you press that like button. It helps out a little bit with the YouTube algorithm. It doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't give me any money. And as you can see, guys, I'll always show you guys this stuff. I'm not trying to hide any sneaky stuff like that. You can see, we got 2 new members. We got €4 for this stream. We've been streaming for 44 minutes. It ain't a secret, none of this stuff. Sometimes I like to show you guys, just for good measure, that 10,000 people have also been watching right now, which is also crazy to me. But conclusion here is the SEC doesn't even know what they're doing, to be honest with you. They don't know exactly what they're suing for. They don't really like to state exactly where Ripple is, not abiding by the rules. And Ripple right now is going full force to get the answers. If we're wondering about price, however, I want to quickly assert on that one too. A couple of things to say. One quickly is we actually did break out. XRP did break out on the daily basis and almost any basis for that matter, with confirmation properly. I mean, depending on how we move today, we can get some really nice confirmation here. And this is actually looking like a good trading setup. Now, on a shorter term basis, so about a 1 hour, which you can also see on the left right here, but then again, zooming in on a 1 hour basis, it's a little bit, I guess, more certain from the perspective that the trend line has not been respected, but it is falling back on a critical support. And it is basically retesting the top, retesting the top, retesting the top right here. With, again, the support moving higher and higher and higher, the resistance staying at the same area. This is usually a really bullish sign, if you were to ask me. Because usually what happens in this area is that XRP price, the bottom just gets pushed up, pushed up, pushed up, pushed up, pushed up, because people are just trying to buy in this area a lot. So guys, they're trying to buy all the time, but they're just selling a lot in this area. However, the buyers keep taking over at higher points, higher points, higher points, while the sellers are still in the same area the entire time. What just happened? Is the live stream still on, guys? I saw the YouTube having some struggles right there. Are we still on? 2020 Drone says he wants a shout out. What's up, my brother? Watcher from Manchester, UK. Good to hear, my friend. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the chat. But yeah, that's my idea here. Right? So right now it's looking bullish. My expectation of yesterday is actually kind of changed up a little bit. I didn't expect this to actually close as positive as it did right now. However, we got a perfect bounce on the downward sloping trend line right now, which we have, again, broken out of right now. So theoretically speaking, guys, if we close it right here, anything in the green, we're looking good to go. And that's already what I said yesterday. Then again, I also told you guys yesterday that I'm not really feeling too confident with this, because usually I'd actually try to buy into, depending on exactly how I drew this trend line, buy into this trade, or at least into this trade right here. And if we were to buy in right now, I'd usually buy in around this point. So it'd be right now in about 0.5% or something like that worth of profit. Would be okay, but we'd rather have more than 0.5% worth of profit, right? But if you were to really ask me, guys, my own trading setup is saying buy right now. Then again, if you're looking at it from a certain perspective, which is just the most logical one, you're saying, scary. Then again, zooming in on a different angle, even though it's the same chart, different angle, it looks more bullish. Because right now, again, it's looking as if we're just building higher and higher and higher, looking for another breakout towards the upside. So things are looking good, if you were to ask me. All right. But guys, that was it for my lawsuit update for right now. Guys, if you want to, you can check out Bybit, because right now you have $3,650 worth of bonuses for just a couple extra days. You might want to check it out. As I said down below, a link is going to be down below for that one in the chat box right now. You might also want to check out my Instagram. I think a link for that is also down below there. Might want to follow me over on Twitter. Just some of these socials, man. You don't have to, but maybe you want to, because once more, then we're connected a little bit better. Do whatever you want to, and I'll see you guys again, I think, in another video soon here. All right? I think we've covered everything that I needed to. We've covered this motion. This is just the previous one. Some of this other stuff we'll cover a little bit later, so don't worry too much about it. Thank you guys all for watching. See you guys again in another crypto video soon. And once more, take care, everybody.